name is Chelsea Brewer Bay, here to light your way. Thank you once again for joining me for this series entitled Lumination, a New Revelation. For those just clicking the blue button, I welcome you. And to those who shared my videos, deep gratitude goes to you. How can I come out from the shadow band unless brought to light by others? So thank you for believing in this message. Let me pose a question to you. How would you feel if you woke up at 90 years old and realized everything you believed to know was true was a lie? When presented all the information that you could have discovered about the truth, universal and foundational principles of the cosmos, but instead you chose to party on the weekends and work your 40 hours, and at the end of your life, you're faced with nothing to show for your existence. How would you feel? You need insight or understanding to be supplied with foresight or the eternal light so that we can discern what's true or not, so we can have oversight in our purpose or in our assignment. This way we can have our lives make a difference. The levels of understanding you acquire will ultimately determine the level of your consciousness, thereby the level of your power. And I've searched the intelligence from the matrix and condensed the understanding found on this earth plane to share with you so that you can take your life to the next level of your awakening. And remember to be quick on the screenshots, because y'all know how I elaborate through these visual spin-offs. Consider these messages a type of Noah's Ark, because there is a great flood coming and some won't make it. So don't miss the boat. We all must pull the oar in some way, some form. Only then can we be able to take the helm. I've put in the work to give y'all a leg up in this society through these volumes so you can take the helm of your livelihood. Your legacy and your lineage depend on your discernment to steer y'all into safe harbor. Your decisions have eternal consequences, so be still before you build. These volumes clear a path for you to build strong, enduring structures in your conscious awareness, so I hope you apply the guidance from your intuition from this newfound insight I brought to light in this series. In this volume, you will discover more about how denominations are running these nations and the involvement of these churches through denomination. This volume is the final in this series, but different other types of informative reports will be presented in the future. I'm not stopping here because the laws of the universe and the laws of Moses all need to be interlaced into our awareness because they're already intricately interwoven in the ethers. Just like Jesus is represented as Jupiter in the solar system, Snow White and the 7 dwarves are in your chakra system. And with everybody so distracted with these elections and these political candidates and World Star and housewives, their soul is dying. So I'm changing that for anyone who wants to tap into cosmic consciousness. We must be wise as serpents and gentle as a dove. There is an intelligence of darkness that I've uncovered, and it is the intention of these volumes to cast a light on the rules of engagement. The psychology of the deep state is manipulation and inversion. So now that we found out the nitty-gritty about what's going on and what other false flags are happening and other ways the elite are manipulating humanity, let's get right into it in this episode and start with analyzing Tupac Shakur, who has very cleverly used conspicuous consumption in his music. And let me warn you right now, I'm finna pull down more of y'all's idols that y'all have erected in y'all's mind a little later in this volume. So, we getting ready. I know how he had Thug Life tatted on his chest. Do y'all know why California Love was and is still in such heavy rotation? What gang was he affiliated with? This line of questioning brings me to another secret society to introduce you to that he was a part of. The same people who developed and launched the Bloods and the Crips are the same people who use this secret society to control and manipulate the melanated. I mentioned in the previous volume that the Hasidic Hebrew term for Cain means blood, or Polter in German, and Abel means crypt, or Geist in German. But I was texting in the back of the class, when you put both of them German words together, you get poltergeist. And when you put them together in English, it's cannibal. Now the tag or the brand he was pushing was of the Thuggy Secret Society. It has been written that this organization gave birth the spirit of the Nation of Islam. And we'll talk about the Nation of Islam a little later. This Thuggy Secret Society was a cult of assassins in India who murdered over 4 million people from the 1300s to the 1900s. Their goal was to destroy the British Empire. This is where the hand signs come from, also known as mudras. This society was developed by 3 Hindus, and let me bring this full circle because those 3 Hindus that created this secret society, one guy was named Baram, which means black, Lavid, which means life, and Morty, which means matter. The elite have studied Hinduism, so maybe now you see why they've taken great lengths to hide this information with this one world religion called Christianity for this purpose. And this is why they use Kaylee's imagery to tap into her power. Take for instance the imagery of George Floyd's staged death, which was a black ops orchestrated by the CIA to manufacture a crisis, to cause a reaction, to cause us to riot, because the elite know we haven't dealt with our own past trauma and we're easily triggered. Like I said in the first volume, how is he 6'6", but his coffin was 6'1"? And if this happened when the media said it did, why are the cops the only ones with masks on? I watched the footage objectively. These cops strategically took him to another part of that corner, away from traffic and street cameras, and the cops parked in such a way to hide their actions being recorded. And a question to ask yourselves is, if anything like this happens right before your eyes, you finna film it? The fuck is that gonna do? What you gonna do with the footage? Hand it to the cops? It's happening at their hand. Kaylee is one of the Hindu gods worshipped as the goddess of destruction, doomsday, and death. Tupac was marked for death, just like Kobe. It's this one world religion that keeps us not knowing how they use other belief systems to manipulate the unstudied. This is yet another reason why I have no religion, because these crackers ain't finna religion me as a slave into their matrix in any way, shape, form, doctrine, or fashion. And we will address fashion in this volume too. And I ask now of y'all to be patient while all the dots are connected, because you'll be stronger for it. We are all in the same situation pertaining to how the elite manipulate us, and I'll explain later how no one is out of the path of the destruction of the elite. I mean, thousands of white people died 9/11. I discussed that in the last volume. And thousands of our indigenous ancestors died systemically when going to the census in history too. So while this volume is directed more towards my melanated brothers and sisters, we all have similar traumas in our past. So look for ways to bring healing to yours throughout this presentation. Our pain runs deep, and in order to heal, you have to reveal. Y'all heard the crabs in the bucket, right? Well, that's what this whole system is based on, and let me break it down. Crabs have the highest level of cholesterol of any sea creature in the ocean, and just so happens that the brain tissue is made from cholesterol. Crabs in the bucket syndrome refers to the conditions that gave birth to the trauma and the drama this system created through manipulation and victimhood, where so many are screaming out for reparations. Root word for reparations means you're calling out for repair. So that trauma that you're dealing with ain't going away with some little funky check, boo. You gotta heal your heart, lest that money ain't gonna go far at all. You'll just mask it with Dior and Gucci and still want to hit your spouse. Kanye West and Dave Chappelle were called crazy by various members of the Boule Society, who kept that idea alive in the minds of the masses when really they're just their own men. Remember from the first 2 volumes that Boulets are paid protectors of the system. They are the very caretakers of the order. They speak out to prove publicly they haven't changed sides and to meld the minds of their followers into believing them rather than those who know who they are. Don't forget LeBron's little ceremonial ritual to the Luciferians who rigged the championship in his favor. The world is a stage. Either you're the producer or the actor, the pimp or the hoe. Getting a little more detailed into the brain's chemistry and how it interacts with your environment to create your personality, there are two terms I want to bring to your awareness: neuroplasticity and neuroparasitology. Bad cholesterol is raised from bad thinking habits, which is neuroplasticity, where your brain takes the form of what you're thinking. What adds to this unfortunate phenomena is that the animals you eat are killed in violence. Then you also watch movies that are violent. Then the music today you're listening to has sex and violence. And subconsciously, anger builds and builds into your body's chemistry, which causes you to not really be yourself because of the foods that you're ingesting, which everything is energy. They take on a life of their own. And the music programming you, where those thoughts take on a life of their own, everything is conscious. You want to be soft to the walk because it's soft and gentle to you. But the programming got you wanting to The study of this consequential circumstance is called neuroparasitology. These foods that aren't really foods are energetic parasites. They bond with your flesh and carry on a life of their own, which causes salt and sugar cravings. KFC has drastically changed the way their foods are prepared with heightened levels of steroids and estrogen, which affects your brain and body's chemistry. Dead aborted fetuses, rat brain tissue, and a wide array of dangerous chemicals in today's food supply become one with the god of this evil energy, which is now coursing through your veins. Soft drinks, chips, hair care products, bath gels, and makeup all contain ingredients toxic to the body. I just started wearing makeup this year after 6 years, and I take a few remedies to protect my body from the exposure. I decided to go plant-based because of the documentaries that had me on a 30-minute cry from the compassion that I had towards those animals being bred and murdered for capitalism. And it's this information I share with you that keeps me on this plant-based diet. Many think fish is okay, but I exposed in the last volume of this series how the cruise ships drop their waste into the deep blue sea. So that rules out fish for me. Mercury contained in fish is a neurotoxin that accumulates in the brain and is where the term Mad Hatters come from. 1 ounce of whiskey or cognac has so many chemicals that when consistently consumed, it destroys your brain. And you call it a good time, being out of your mind. I was guilty. I'm not judging. I'm just thinking of my former self like, damn girl. I used to want a high tolerance, like I wanted my body to just shut up and take it. But because it was forbidden by adults when we were younger and propagated in the media and the music industry as acceptable and desirable, it causes you to believe it's just the next step in life. Insanity still is a mental illness, right? Isn't that continuing in actions expecting different results from those same actions? Much of Black America's rates of high cholesterol and Alzheimer's and atherosclerosis comes from not only taking in all these chemicals from what we eat and drink, but also how we think. And then adding the MK Ultra into the water and the watching TV, placing yourself under their hypnosis adds to our trauma and disease as well. And this is happening on a global scale, causing our thoughts to not even be our own. By the system using music to make our heart vibe with the words being offered affects our language, our choices, our speech, and our decisions, and subsequently our destiny. So now that we know better, we have to do better in order to get better.